Yo, what is up, DeFi fam? John Casey here. Today I'm going to show you how I create my sample packs. Um, this is not a tutorial specifically about how to create a kick drum or how to create a snare or a bass from scratch. Although I will be doing those things, but a little bit more briefly. I will show you how, but I won't go into super detail because it's more about how I create the sample packs, the formats, and so forth. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, so I created a little sample pack template just before recording this, and I should have been doing it for a long time. The reason is Ableton 11, which is coming out soon, allows you to create separate templates, and it's amazing because I can switch through. So I even have my feedback session template here. I've got a Busmaster template, which is right over here. You can't see it too much, but it's behind there. So yeah, different templates. I think it's important that you create a template for this so that it saves you time and also effort. But the template over here, very simple. So it's drums, melodies, basses, effects. I think I should create one called leads, but I'll just put that under melodies for now. Each one has 2 MIDI channels and 2 audio channels, each of them. And then I have my little resample audio tracks here, because everything I make, obviously resample into audio. The reason I have a few is, take note of this, Ableton sometimes, I'm not too sure if it's something that it's a personal problem with Ableton, but sometimes when you resample audio into the same track for, let's say, like a half an hour or like so many times, it just starts degrading. Like the audio just starts degrading, and it gets crunchy and it just loses its clarity. So that's why I have a few here. So in case you don't know how to switch something to resample, you can right click, insert audio track, and where it says external in, if it's not there, then you can go to this little IO button, which stands for in out. Yeah, so it's your in out section, so you can check where your ins and outs are. So make sure that's highlighted right over there. Click on external in, which it's normally set to, and say resample, and you should have your little arm switch here be enabled. And then when you want to resample, you just click on that, and whatever is playing through will be resampled. So that's the basic layout here. We've got a bunch of resamples. Yeah, so I've created a bunch of sample packs, like quite a lot. If I show you here, I've created sample packs for Sennheiser. I've created a few for them, for Renraku, for Dome of Doom. Just recently finished one for Capsun Pro Audio, and a lot of independent ones of my own, and Audiobox as well. I work quite closely with Audiobox quite often, so a lot of stuff on Splice. Yeah, so if these are my own, personally my own, and then others that I've worked for, that I've sold, specifically to other people. So let's get into the general formatting of things. If we look at my sample pack, let's go to packs, Splice, sounds packs, Carbon Chimera Hybrid Future Trap. That was one that I just finished for Capsun Pro Audio. And if you look at the layout, it's relatively similar to what I do throughout all my sample packs, but obviously they'll request what they want, like specifically. So for this one I did 150 melodic loops, and then more so everything else with drums and stuff. For me, I don't do that many melodic loops. I love a lot of drums, I love a lot of effects and one shots. But yeah, so this is drum and perk loops, drum perk and one shots, drum and perk one shots, melodic loops, and one shots. So like bass one shots, synths, 808s, etc. That's not usually what I do, so I'll show you some of mine. You won't be able to see it as much, but I will say it. Let's see the Ransack pack. So I have basses, drums, melodies, Serum presets, vocals, and one shots. I like to separate them. It's good to have loops, it's good to have one shots, etc. But within this, I'll just show you what it is important about the creation of each sample. So I'm going to unarm this resample for now because we're not going to resample. Yeah, let's get into it. So many ways to create a kick drum.
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
For the most part, also all my everything that I've made with regards to sample packs are totally from scratch because of, you know, copyright issues. If it's not totally from scratch, it's a preset in something that I've completely flipped. But there are no copyright issues there. So yeah, so there's one thing that I like to use called Drum Synth Kick. This is not, I'm not too sure if this is, no, not this one. But you can see, let me type in DS Kick. Also, some of the principles here are quite universal, so it will span over whatever DAW. So if you're not in Ableton, it's okay. You can still pretty much follow. But I am native to Ableton, so yeah. DS Kick, this is a Max for Live plugin that I've had quite a bit. So I'm just going to create a little MIDI shot. MIDI one shot. It's triggered, so it doesn't matter how long it is, how long the MIDI is, because it's triggered. So you can change the pitch here. This is one way I create my kicks. So we can do this, decay time. I don't like the little click on it, so I'll up the attack. Envelope. That's how the pitch is enveloped, how it comes down. So, very basic. Put some OTT or some saturation. I don't like the decay time, it's a little bit too long. This is just the basis of my kick. So what I'll do is I'll take this, click here, resample. I'm resampling it into another audio because I'm going to do some more effects on it. So there we go. Then I'll just turn this off. And now this is the sweet stuff. This is where everything is in audio. I love to work in audio more than anything else. Also, be aware of your little fades, right? The fades are quite important, but sometimes when creating samples, I like to turn them off. So if you click on your preferences and go to record, warp, and launch, it'll say auto warp long samples. Here, create fades on clip edges. The reason it does that is because when there's no fade on it, there can be a lot of clicking sounds. So I keep this on, but when I create samples, I turn it off because if it automatically creates a little fade, it's a completely different kick. So you can listen to the initial part of the kick with the fade. It's a different kick. It's not too bad, but without, you can hear there's a click, and maybe I want that click in the kick. So once again, preferences, go to record, warp, and launch, and create fades on clip edges. Turn it off, just for when you create samples. So now what I'll do is I'll check out my effects. I'll go to EQ, EQ8, use almost a brick wall, low pass filter, high pass. So you see, this is where you can so there's this glue compressor. Just compress it a bit. can use even another compressor over here. Let's see. So just get into the effects of it all and see how you feel about it. That's nice. And then, yeah, so that's one way we can do it. There's that. Another way you can create a kick is just generally with operator. Same thing. This is way too high though, so I'll just here we go. Let's go to, yeah. Get the volume up. So yeah, just create. Let me just loop this. One thing I like to do is also just loop it so that I don't have to play it over and over. I can just leave it. Very basic, but I can just use that for now. And then this is where the magic happens, when I transfer it into audio and then ba-boom. So yeah, whatever. I'll probably just see there. I don't want the click, and then I'll change it. No, see, I don't want it to loop. And then let's throw some saturator on there. Amazing. Saturator is what I use for the most part. And then wave shaper. I use wave shaper all the time. Turn the linear all the way up. Doesn't matter if it clips. Sometimes I want that. I'll put this in front. It's pretty nice. There's another kick. Another way is you can create kick, throw the same kick in. So what you can do is this. Let's go resample, take this, and then throw it in the same thing. And then do that again. That's a bit too much though. I like this a little, and then I'll just see there, just take the clips off. Also, bear in mind, if you, all right, I'll get to that, sorry. Move this. That's how you make a kick. So let's just go back to the regular kick that we had in the beginning. Back to the DS kick, because that was a nice kick. I'll remove. And then add some saturator. So how I create it and make it into a sample now is this. It's just, doesn't matter if it's clipping. So I'm gonna arm the resample, right? Make sure that it's armed. For the most part, sometimes I'll just solo and record because there might be other stuff in there, but there's nothing here, so there's no reason for me to solo. All right, so there's my kick. I make sure that it rides out until it's flat so that there's no audio there, because I don't want to cut it too short. And then what I'll do is, when you consolidate something, when you press Command J or right click and say consolidate, I think Ableton normalizes it to 0 dB, or as much as it can normalize whatever the sample is. So I'll always consolidate all my samples. So I'll take this, right? So you've seen I've resampled it into a new audio track, and I don't want the tail that long, obviously, because it stops right here. So I'll cut it, make sure there's a little bit of a fade, and it sounds fine. Then I'll press Command J to consolidate, and now this entire sample is the length of this, what you see. It's not longer, it's not shorter. Because sometimes if you just resample, go to the file, drag it over, it has a long tail and it's terrible. You don't want that. So Command J, consolidate it, and now this is the sample you have. And what I'll do there is, let me actually create a little dummy folder for you guys. Desktop DFire demo pack. Create, open. I'm just going to put it here on the side, a little demo pack here. So what you do is you go to the sample and you click over here on the name specifically, and it'll take you to the file itself. See there. Now the file is, let me just show you. Video capture. Move this here for a little bit. So you can see if you click on the file, let me just go back to wherever I was, and I click here and I say resample, it goes specifically to the actual file, and it's a WAV file. Then you can take the file and drag and drop it into your little demo pack, right? I do this with everything. I have my little holy grail here, which is where my packs are, and just the throwaways, like so many throwaways of drums and sound design over here, all that kind of stuff. And it's important to do that, make a habit of that, so you can create your own samples, and then you can just reflip and flip your samples over and over. So yeah, that's one way, right? There we go, we're back in place. It's important to remember Ableton has this weird thing, right? Let me go to the sample. If you see, the sample starts when I click on it in the little folder here. Let me do this. So the sample starts when I click on it. But if I record the sample further in, not at the starting point, all right, that was an accident. I don't need you. If I record the sample further in and I resample it, and I do the same thing where I cut off the tail that I don't want, press Command J to consolidate, click over here, all right. Sometimes it's not doing it now. Let me go further in. If you resample something further in and not at the starting point, it's not a train smash, it just sometimes consolidate. See there, look, there's no data there for some reason. So now I'm clicking on it and it doesn't do anything. So it's important to just, it's not a train smash because you can go to where the specific file is. You can take this file and move it, but see there, click on it, it doesn't go because it's weird because it's not at the starting point and the data kind of gets muddled because of the ASD files that Ableton creates always. So what you can do is show in Finder and just delete the ASD files, and then go back, open up the file. You'll have to probably start the thing again, but once you delete the ASD file, it does that. But in order to avoid that, just always create your samples at the starting point so that you can listen to it however long you want, instead of, see there, it's back because I deleted the ASD file. This file is back. It's come back from the dead. So always record your samples at the starting point of Ableton so that you don't run into that issue that I just demonstrated. So that's one way to create a kick drum. Let's look at a snare real quick. So yeah, so you can take your folder, your files, and throw them into your little demo. Side note, always check when you record, it's in wave, your bit depth is 24. Yeah, so your output, just make sure that your output is the way that you want it to. Your in and out sample rate is 4800. Some people want 44.1. But RX8 Advanced, what you can do is something called batch processing. So this is what I do. I'll click on RX8, go to Window, go to Batch Processor, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this. Take this and throw it in. As you can see, all my bass, my bass, my kick, melodic loop, weird effects is all there. And what you can do then is, sometimes with Ableton, when exporting, it doesn't export it exactly in all 16-bit or 24-bit, or your sample rate is not either 44.1 or 48 kilohertz. So over here it is, because but sometimes when you do it so much, there's some errors that come in. So with RX8, I go and I click on resample, and I want everything to be 44.1, and I want everything to be normalized to -1 dB. I did this with the Caption Pro Audio one. An output, I will say choose location. I can click the same location, or I can say new folder. I'll normally click on new folder, create a new folder, bit depth, make it 24-bit, and then process. And it processes everything exactly how you have it before. So yeah, so this is just the end process. You don't need to do this. I didn't do this for like the first 2 years of creating sample packs, but this is just the next step once you start making a living off of sample packs themselves. So yeah, basically RX8, you don't need it, but I use it to clear everything up and make everything cleaner. But yeah, so as I've said before, resampling is what I do. Resampling it, going into the file name, dragging everything into the specific folder, going to the folder itself, getting all the audio to sound right, and then I will compress it and take this little folder here and send it to whoever. So if it's with a sample pack company, I'll send it to them, etc, etc, etc. So that is how I create my sample packs in a nutshell. I hope this video was informative and you learned something. But yeah, so that's basically it in a nutshell. And so just to reiterate, resampling is how I do it. There's many ways to create different drums. Resample, take that, drag it into the folder on the side that you're creating the sample pack for, and at the end delete all your ASD files and compress that and make that a sample pack. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good one. Peace.